I'll acknowledge the presence of the good doc. It's time
doc,
for Cleared to Play. Take you inside the tent, get you updated on the latest injuries in the Bay. Proud to partner with UCSF Health on this segment and bring in Associate Professor of Orthopedic Surgery, Dr. Nirav Pandya. Good doc. How are you?
I'm doing good. All this in and out talk is getting me hungry, guys. So,
yeah. Are you
stop by on the way home?
Are you still able to do a double-double? And what does that mean for our health? How many years come off with each trip to In and Out?
I think you might be losing a couple of years every time, but no, I go animal style double. I will have to recover for a couple hours afterwards, but I'm able to pull through, guys. That's all I gotta say.
If a doctor can do it, then it's good enough for us as well. That's my take. More interested, though, in your take on Aaron Banks, Doc. So this one was interesting. The 49ers were worried about a biceps injury. They've cleared that and then just designated it as a shoulder injury. So what's your read on what's going on there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Anytime you hear about a biceps injury, you're definitely very worried, particularly in the position that he plays. We worry about a biceps tendon kind of getting injured lower down, and the initial reports were, it's an upper biceps, not a lower biceps, because the lower biceps is what's going to lead to surgery. Upper biceps tendon tears just typically don't happen in athletes. It's more of an injury in terms of older individuals in your 50s and 60s when that biceps tendon will tear up near the shoulder. So the fact they're saying it's just quote-unquote a shoulder strain probably means his biceps muscle kind of up near the shoulder area is a little bit sore, playing day-to-day. So obviously a huge relief for them. And that's something that should, more than anything else, has caused a little discomfort. Shouldn't be a big functional issue, and they definitely dodged a bullet avoiding that quote-unquote lower biceps injury.
A lot of talk about Brock Purdy and an MVP candidacy, but I'm more interested in three other letters, UCL. Doc, how do you see him coming out of this now, 7 months removed from surgery?
It's pretty remarkable. I mean, even just a couple months ago, people were worried about, is he going to play week one? How is his velocity going to be? How's his accuracy? How is it going to hold up to contact? I mean, he's doing better than he did last year, and all those things we were potentially worried about from the surgery that not many NFL quarterbacks have had. He's done great and improved, and that's pretty remarkable. And I think the most amazing thing is that we didn't know how he was going to hold up to contact week after week after week. We're now 5 games into the season. He's taking contact to the arm. He continues to be accurate. There aren't any residual symptoms. So it's pretty remarkable. We're sitting here 7 months from his surgery, and we're talking about how he's potentially the MVP with Peter King. As opposed to worrying about, is he going to be ready week 4, week 5? Pretty remarkable how he's recovered.
Doc, Eli Mitchell has missed 2 games and has dealt with this stuff in the past. So what are your expectations with his knee injury or injuries going forward?
Obviously concerned when you've had, MCL injuries on both sides. He has this quote-unquote kind of, knee bruise and keeps them out. I think with him in general, particularly since Jordan Mason probably is playing very well, they're being extra cautious with him, just given the fact that he's now compiling injuries that do make him a little bit more prone to have knee issues. So I think with him, particularly with the long season, let's make sure he's completely healthy, because his ability to compensate or have a little extra reserve just isn't there, given his injury history. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him play this weekend, maybe in a limited role, just kind of get him some more live reps. But it sounds like they're not really concerned about a structural issue. It's just accumulation of all the various injuries that have added up on top of this quote-unquote bruise to his knee.
Yeah, fortunately, they have some good running back depth to kind of offset the need to have Eli Mitchell play. I don't know if the Vikings have the same luxury with Justin Jefferson now going on IR with a hamstring injury. What do you expect the timetable for his return to be?
Yeah, you definitely get concerned when a wide receiver, at that position is getting a hamstring issue. And in general, when you hear 3, 4, 5 weeks for going on IR, typically it lands with a grade 2, kind of hamstring injury, which is a partial tear. If you look at most NFL players who have this kind of injury, typically it is kind of landing right around 3 to 4 weeks, usually 22 to 28 days. I mean, there are things that they can do to get this better, PRP injections, obviously all the physical therapy. The thing you get worried about is that there's a high risk of recurrence, particularly at that position, and the fact that when you have a compromised hamstring, it's so essential to lower extremity function. You see a lot of players start out with a hamstring injury, and next thing you know, they've injured their knee. So something you definitely are worried about, particularly for such an important player who's getting placed on the IR this early in the season.
Doc, before you run, and we know your obvious fandom and attachment to the Warriors, can we get an update on thoughts on Draymond Green? We'll get evaluated, I think, at the start of next week, but there is some stuff happening at practice. What are we thinking about opening night for him?
I think it's more and more a possibility. I think there was a report, I think, a couple days ago. He's doing stationary bike. He's doing, stuff out there. He seems to be seemed to be walking around fine at the game. I think he's in the time frame where if you have kind of this quote-unquote grade 1 or 2 ankle sprain, that he could absolutely play on opening night. Based on the progression, if you see him on the court, you see him shooting, I think there's absolutely a possibility for that. I think the only reason they may potentially keep him out is they're like, look, we don't want any kind of secondary issue coming up or if he has a little bit of soreness. But the progress he's made, the way he's looking, based on the reports, I would not be surprised to see him out there opening night.
Okay, which is coming up here real soon. Hey, Doc, great to have you always. Thank you. We'll talk to you next week.
Take care, guys. Thanks a lot. Yep.
There he goes, Doc Pandya, and the proceeding was sponsored by UCSF Health.